everyone, Jen here with Next Wave Business Coaching. Today, I'm really excited to have a special guest. I've got an expert here with us today. I want to introduce to you Beth Hess with Keys to Your Brand. Hi, Beth. Welcome for joining me today. Or thank you.
Hi.
Sorry. Thank you for joining me and welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm happy to be here.
So I want to talk about messaging for small businesses. I just saw a statistic that said we are inundated with 6,000 to 10,000 messages a day. I mean, that's mind-boggling.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I know as a small business owner, I find the marketing messaging piece of it very overwhelming. It can be very intimidating. You know, I never even really thought about copywriting until just a couple of years ago. And I feel like it is becoming more and more important to get your message heard. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. A lot of the business owners I talk to, it's one of the things that surprises them most about becoming a business owner is all the writing, right? The things, and you can't get away from it, no matter what industry you're in. There's a website or sales pages and social media content or emails or video scripts, or even just the way you introduce yourself at networking meetings, and all of that messaging can get really overwhelming really quickly. But yeah.
I hear you. And so critical to our success to be found. I mean, if we're, people are getting inundated with all these messages, we really have to skill up in this area. So first of all, tell me a little bit about how did you get started with Keys to Your Brand and what do you do for small businesses?
Yeah, so at its most basic level, what I do is I help people put their amazingness into words. And I have always been a word person. I was the girl that read through all the books first in the summer book club and like to hang out and do that. My grandmother and I wrote my first book when I was 5 after we had a summer together and spent a week together, and we wrote a little story about the time that we spent. I have books and boxes and just lots and lots of journals. So words and books and stories have just always been a part of my life. And in fact, I went to school for journalism. So that's what I did as a career for a long time. Writing, editing, magazine publishing. And then as that industry started to shift, I got more involved in small business marketing and advertising and things along that line, and realized when I got laid off from the corporate world 2 years ago that going back to that, what I'm good at, that's bringing together what do the small business owners need, and wait, I know how to use words effectively, could come together in really nice ways. I meet a lot of people that said, oh, I love writing for my business, but I meet a lot more that are like, oh my gosh, the words, I really struggle with the words. And what I found is, even I struggle with my words because sometimes you're just too close to yourself to know what people are what's getting through and what's getting lost in translation. And so so that's what I do with Keys to Your Brand, is just make it easier for you to put the amazing things that you're already doing, right? Because especially entrepreneurs and small businesses, people who bet on themselves, I know you're already amazing. And usually we don't have to change a lot about actually how you're doing your business, just the way you're talking about it.
Oh, so true. And I love what you say, that it is, we all start businesses because we have a passion. And sometimes because of that, we ramble on. And like you said, we're in the weeds. And I find that in today's world, we have to be so concise. Like we really have to be strong with the words we choose so that people really get us. And, most of us are doing business online. So we don't have that chance to really build that relationship in person. So our words probably matter even more, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. And it becomes a shift. It was actually a client who said it to me, and I realized what a powerful shift it is, that we're most of us as entrepreneurs are really good about talking about our business and being really excited when we talk about it, but that doesn't always translate into making the other person excited about it as well.
Mhm.
But when you find the right words that really connect us as human beings first, is
Right.
is what makes other people to be excited to learn more about what you're doing, and not just, okay, yeah, that's nice, good for you, I hope it goes
Right.
well. But it makes that connection for people to go, oh wait, now I can see how your excitement and what you're doing actually could solve my problem,
Mm.
reach my need, whatever that might be. They put themselves in that situation.
Yeah, perfect. So I love how you've got this kind of mantra where you say marketing in with messaging is kind of like speed dating.
Mhm.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, yeah. Um, so marketing is matchmaking is is actually a phrase that I use a lot, um, because it goes back to this idea that sometimes when we get in our minds that we're doing things for business, we try to get all formal about it, and that we want to use exactly the right words, and we sign our letters sincerely and all of that. But if you were to approach somebody like that at a backyard barbecue, right? If you were
Mm.
to just walk up to somebody and say, to whom it may concern, I wanted to share with you my passion about, right? It just doesn't, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. And so we have to connect on a human level, like if we were dating, right?
Right.
That idea of, you know, the outcome here in a dating relationship should be mutually beneficial. It should be something we both want to be a part of, and not feel coerced or tricked into, well, I never would have gone on a second date with you if I'd known about that before, right? There's just a lot of places that the metaphor um, makes makes sense, and where I think we see it show up most, and why a lot of people don't say they don't like doing sales, is because we forget the whole relationship building part of
Mhm.
messaging, and we just go straight to the proposal, so to speak, which I say is, about as effective as walking around the grocery store just proposing to strangers.
Right. So I feel like a lot of times we don't write the way we talk.
Exactly.
And when it comes to copywriting, I mean, I feel like it's kind of an art. And sometimes we have to throw the old grammar rules out the window. Would you agree with that? Or what are
Oh,
your thoughts on that?
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's why, my skills as a journalist work so well in this work now, is because what I'm really doing is trying to help you discover your own story and not put words in your mouth. It's just say, hey, what I just heard you say there, just say that. Right?
Mm,
Just tell people that. Um, and if that's the way that you talk about it in conversation, that's the way you should talk about it in your content, for sure.
all right. So if you're a small business owner and you're listening to us right now, what would you tell us to stop doing first? Like, what do you see as the biggest mistake we're making when it comes to our website, our blog posts, our emails, our social media with our words?
Um, Stop taking it so seriously.
Okay.
And in a lot of ways, that means things like stop thinking that any one post is going to be the magic thing, or that the number of engagements or likes makes or breaks everything that you have. Again, if we think about this idea of relationship building, you just keep putting stuff out there. You just keep having the conversation, just keep letting people know who you are, right? Can you imagine going on a first date and like whipping out your resume and your family ancestry and like all of your information and going, okay, here's everything on the first date. Do you want to marry me or not? And yet a lot of times we write content like that, right? We're like, I'm going to write this perfect post and it's going to tell them everything they need to know about me. And then I'm just going to sit back and watch everybody click the buy now button. And, this is this is how it's going to work. And that just puts way too much stress on any given post, any given content, any given hashtag, any given anything. Just show up as yourself and just keep doing it and be who you are. I mean, I think when you and I first talked, I use the analogy a lot, so I probably shared with you, what happens if you show up to that first date with somebody and you decide for whatever reason, I'm going to speak in a British accent on the first date. What are your options from that point?
Right.
Right? Your options become either you can't go on a second date because you'll be shown as a fraud.
Right.
You have to come clean, which erodes a little bit of trust that you weren't just who you were from the beginning. Or you have to speak in a British accent for the rest of your life. Right? These are the options, and none of them are creating the kind of client relationships that you want to have. So, and I think we're seeing more of this. Some people are more comfortable cursing in their content now because they say, hey, when we get in a coaching session together, I might let something drop. And so I just want you to know that that's me up front.
Right.
Or people talk more about their hobbies or their passions or who they are outside of that business space, because we're connecting on that more human level of, hey, I really want you to know who I am from the beginning so that we can both feel good about this relationship that we're building towards.
Well, and I think what you said too is so important, because I think a lot of times we get frustrated. We're out here spending so much time creating social media posts, creating emails, creating blogs, and then we don't get the response that we thought we were going to get. And a lot of times that can cause us to quit. And we know in a digital marketing world that consistency is king. You have to keep showing up. So I love how you said, quit being so formal, just be yourself. So can you give us one tip if we're about to write an email to our audience to kind of help us get in the groove? Or, is there anything like, do you have kind of a process that you go through to get the creative juices flowing, or how do you get started if you're feeling a little stuck?
Yeah. So think about a specific person, whether you've developed a client avatar, whether you're thinking of a client that you really enjoyed working with, whether you have a client you're working with now that you're like, oh, I just really wish I could say to them this thing and I can't say it in the session. Well, you make it a post, right? Make it a little bit more generic, but that helps create more of the conversational tone of like, hey, I had something I wanted to share with you, instead of like I'm giving a big formal commencement speech to a big audience, right?
I love that. So pretend on the other side is just one person that you're talking to.
One other person. Yeah. And I just read, ironically, I'll move the right way here. So I didn't do this on purpose, but I'm going to pretend I did. Don't tell me. So behind me is this empty chair. It's actually an office chair that I had, that just was not well designed, and the bottom of it kept breaking off, but I loved it. And so I was like, I'm just going to stick it back there. But I read recently that when Amazon holds meetings, that they always leave an empty chair as a representation of their customer.
Okay.
To remind themselves that there's someone else in this process, that they can't be making decisions in a vacuum without remembering to consider the customer. And so I've decided now that this chair is hey, what if you were just sitting there and I just spun around and we just had a chat and we talked? Because I don't ever want to forget when I think like, oh, I'm speaking to an audience, right? Then we generalize.
Right.
Okay. So then we're like, well, what do all small business owners need to hear? what does everyone in my target audience need to hear? Instead of just, me looking you in the eye and say, hey, Jennifer, can we chat? I have some ideas that might help you.
Right.
And
What a great visual exercise. I love that. I'm going to steal that because I do have a chair
yeah,
in my office. So from now on, when I'm writing, I'm going to have my fake little person sitting there,
that's
my
right.
avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a great hack. So tell us a little bit more about how you help entrepreneurs and where entrepreneurs can find you.
Yeah, so the place I kind of gather my inner circle, so to speak, right now is a Facebook group. It's called Unlocked Brands, where we wordsmith your way to ready to buy customers. And so that's kind of where my people kind of hang out. And so again, that's Unlocked Brands, and I can get you the link for that for sure. You can also, friend me on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm at Beth Builds Brands. I'm getting some stuff going on LinkedIn. So I'm kind of in all the places. So yeah, so if you want to have, if you just want to get my number before you ask me on a date, then go check me out. Go check me out on those. If you want to hang out at a group date setting, then join the Facebook group. And if you're ready to have a first date, I do, free 30-minute consultations for us to chat and just sort of start tapping into that, the owning your amazingness process is what I call it. And it goes back to that idea of you're already doing really cool things. I'm just gonna help you connect the dots and pull out the words that you can use so that people go, oh yeah, that is what makes her amazing at what she does. That is what makes his business different.
And I would highly encourage everyone to take advantage of the tools and resources that you have, the Facebook group, and I'll put all the links in the notes here, because I think copywriting is an area we all need to be skilling up in. It is, the old way of doing marketing is not going to work anymore. We've seen more businesses start, which you're a great example of that. You started as a result of the pandemic, losing a job. More people have started businesses, and it's a busy world. And we have to figure out how to connect on a human level, and also just how to start reaching, getting through the clutter. So I would highly suggest skilling up in the copywriting area for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you for these tips today. This is just to get us thinking about, kind of what to stop doing, how to start that writing, and just start that process. I feel like these tips are really beneficial.
Thank you. And I know it connects with sort of what you talk to your clients about too, about, being yourself and being able to be yourself, right? Where do you see the crossover and the connection there with what you're already teaching folks?
Oh, completely. Because, I work with small business owners so my mantra is kind of grow freer. And what I mean by that is when you ask people why they started a business, they will most likely tell you it's because they wanted freedom and flexibility for their lifestyle. They wanted to get away from the 9-to-5. They wanted to build something with purpose. And then if you ask them, okay, well, how's that going? What's your life like day to day? They're going to tell you, wow, I had no idea that I had to know so much, so little about so much is kind of how you can look at it. I had no idea how many hats I was going to wear, how many decisions I was going to wear or make, and how often I think about my business. It's consuming. So what I like to do is help train and transition entrepreneurs from I bought myself a job to actually being an owner. And we do that through getting the right team members, through getting the right marketing messaging going so that you're not repeating the same thing, reinventing the wheel all the time. We do that through customers. How do we create a customer experience so your customers will start getting the message out for you, which that's great marketing. Yes. And systems, all those things that it takes. And I believe in a holistic, comprehensive approach to owning your own business, which means work-life balance is not a thing. There's no work-life balance when you own your own business. but you can create boundaries. You can figure out how to turn your brain off at 3 a.m. So I believe those are things that are really important because I want to help you avoid burnout.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what, what I believe in and what I help with entrepreneurs. I help actually transform them and transition into more of an owner versus a doer. And, we all start out as doers. We have to. But then at some point, if you really want to build a legacy, if you really want to stay in this game long term, you're going to have to figure out how to let go, but still keep control.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think, and I talk with my clients about the messaging and the marketing, because people have to know you. They have to build trust. They have to like you. We have to get through those barriers, and we're doing it now more on screens than ever. So we really have to be intentional with the type of business we want to create and be authentic and just be ourselves. So like you said, I don't start a conversation with "to whom it may concern," so we have to learn how to show up professionally, but as ourselves.
Yeah. And because freedom looks different for everybody, right? Even
It
just
does.
in that one word, we all pull up what freedom feels like for us. And and I think one of the ways you and I approach things very similarly is that, okay, tell me what this means to you, and then I'll help you get what you are desiring. And not you know, there's a lot of coaches out there, a lot of different places that just want to give you their formula for success. And I love that you and I are both out there preaching what would success or freedom or great messaging look like to you. Cool. Let's work towards what you want this to be.
Exactly. It's a customized approach because no two business owners are the same and no two businesses are the same. And like I left the corporate world. I was in the corporate world for 10 years. And I left that because I wanted freedom and flexibility to take care of my small children. But for some business owners, they want freedom to own multiple businesses. So you can't own and operate every single business if you're going to own multiple businesses. And also I call it the peace of mind freedom. The peace of mind knowing that your business is aligning with the lifestyle that you want, it's doing what you want, and you're not following somebody else. We are so caught up in what everyone else is doing that sometimes we follow what they're doing and it's not what you wanted in the first place.
Right.
So sometimes you just need someone to come alongside you and help you with that accountability, help you with the affirmations, and just kind of help you skill up in certain areas. And that's what I love about what you and I are doing, because we both have a passion and a heart for it.
Yeah, it's an alignment check, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what words do for you a lot too. I mean, I recently wrote my own brand manifesto because I was like, I need to set my own sort of like lighthouse of this is who I am and what I'm about, because it is easy to get off track with well-meaning people trying to give you advice, or clients that ask you to do things that you're like, well, yeah, I could do that. You have to have something that guides you back to, your why, your purpose, your mission. For me, that's words. If you could, I mean, I have "own your amazing" over my shoulder, but this wall over here is full of other words and phrases and mantras that I kind of live by, because words have always been my way to connect back to that what am I doing. But sometimes it's just a consistent meeting with a coach that says, okay, cool idea, but how does that fit with what you said about this? How does that fit
Right.
with this? It's that realignment. That doesn't mean that we can't grow. I was just sharing this with a client over the weekend. People talk about stay in your lane, set your boundaries. That doesn't mean your boundaries can't ever grow and that your lane can't ever expand, but it comes from that place of core out, and not this path, this path, this path,
Right.
this path, right?
Exactly. Because this path, that path is going to burn you out. You're going to get exhausted. And,
yeah.
Then you did all this work and you're like, I don't know how much longer I can keep doing it.
Yeah. And it very, very often takes that outside support. It helps the zoom out look from a coach or someone, to say, Is that in the lane or is that not in the lane?
Right. And same with words. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many times I will write something that I'm going to put out for marketing and I know what I mean and I know what I offer. And I have somebody look at it and they're kind of like, huh, I don't get it. So I agree. Getting that outside perspective is going to help you grow. And the thing that's interesting about what I do is a lot of it's strategy. You know, we have to have those strategies that we're going to use to grow our business, but a lot of it's mindset. And there's a lot of fear with saying no to the wrong, you know, even though it's the wrong client, saying no to them, there's a lot of fear that comes with it. There's a lot of doubt. There's a lot of imposter syndrome. There's a lot going on, and probably more so than ever because of our digital world. You know, we are exposed to so many people doing so many things, and we start to, you know, compare ourselves a lot. So a lot of the work we do too is just having conversations about what you want, why you want it, and if you do this one decision, does that, like you said, align with what you're trying to achieve? So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it. And you offer a Facebook group and a 30-minute consultation. So I'll put the links to that. And I offer a 30-minute free consultation as well. So I'm here if anybody wants to just talk about a pain point in their business and you walk away with an action step. And, you know, I love chatting business with anybody. So I'm here for that as well.
Perfect. And when you join the group, you also see a masterclass that I have coming up in the next couple of weeks. That will be a good introduction to sort of unlocking your brand DNA and helping you find some keys in your own messaging that will make your copywriting a lot easier, I promise.
Oh my gosh, everyone's got to hop into that masterclass. I know for sure this is a conversation that we need to keep having because this is going to help entrepreneurs grow their business. So wonderful information.
Awesome.
Thanks, Beth. It was fun chatting with you as always.
Thank
and
you.
I look forward to seeing you on the written page someday.
Sounds good. I'll see you again soon.
All right, take care.